If you drive just a few minutes north of the Kansas City skyline across the Missouri River, you'll find yourself in Riverside. Today, it's a bustling hub of modern commerce and highways. But if you know where to look, the asphalt gives way to deep history. Now, I'm standing here on a quiet hill at St. Matthew's Cemetery right now. The afternoon sun is cutting through the oak leaves, casting long shadows across the modest limestone headstone, even though it's been overcast most of the day. Now, the name carved into it is largely weathered away by a century of Missouri winters. It actually looks really good considering, but the history books remember it clearly. Peter Brenner, 1819 to 1894. Now, to look at this peaceful plot now, you'd never guess that the man resting beneath it was essentially the human bulldozer who helped carve the city out of the wilderness. Now, you see, back in 1843, Germany's Rhine Valley was simmering with the kind of geopolitical tension that makes sensible people look at a map of the world and point as far away as possible. But Peter Brenner was sent across the Atlantic on a solo scouting expedition. The 19th century equivalent of sending one guy ahead to check out the restaurant before the whole party sits down. Now, Peter came over here, and when he reached this bend in the Missouri River, he looked at the rolling hills and the dense timber, and he wrote back to his family, and he essentially said, "It looks just like home. Come on over." He was fascinated with the similarities in all the open land. Riverside wasn't this open, gentle prairie you see further north. It was a dense, stubborn forest. Now, when Peter's family arrived in 1844, they spent their first autumn right here on the highest hill, exhausted with zero crops in the ground, debating whether to pack it up and retreat. Now, they held a vote, and guess what the verdict was? The verdict was that they would stay right here in Riverside, but only if they built the communal house of worship first, a spiritual anchor in a sea of wild timber. Now, that covenant became St. Matthew's. Now, from there, Peter went to work. For decades, he lived in a 2-room log cabin that at one point packed in 10 people like structural lumber. Now, during the Civil War, he traded his plow for a rifle, serving as a Union veteran to protect his highly contested borderland. But his real kingdom was made out of soil. Now, Paxton later noted that year after year, Peter faithfully wrestled with the land until he possessed one of the prettiest and cleanest farms in Platte County. He did it so well. The wheat king of Platte County, that's what they called him. He was the vanguard for a wave of immigrants with names like the Clam and Renner families who turned this timberland into an agricultural engine. Back when this entire area was casually referred to as just east of Parkville. That's what they used to call it. Eventually, the farms gave way to schools. The schools, the businesses, and Brenner Ridge officially became Riverside. Now, standing here today next to his military grave marker, you realize that Peter Brenner's true monument, the descendants of those early pioneers, stayed rooted in the soil for generations, and eventually donating their ancestral farmlands so modern residents could walk through places like Renner Brenner Site Park. The Wheat King has been gone for well over a century, but as for the traffic hums in the distance, it's clear that the seeds he planted in 1844 are still blooming. This is your boy Mack Malone, the KC journalist, reporting live from the grave of Peter Brenner. Signing out. Catch you on the next one. Love y'all. Peace.
Let's go. Mack Malone, he's your KC journalist. Mack Malone, he's your KC journalist. Mack Malone, he's your KC journalist. Y'all get the best from the KC journalist. Let's go.